presenting for your video production needs the ultimate in camera movement, the E-Image ED330 camera tripod dolly. We are continuing on with some of the used equipment that I bought in that huge package deal just recently. And in this episode, we are doing the E-Image ED330. They call a portable camera dolly. I call a tripod dolly because ultimately in this video, we're going to show you, you put a tripod on top and then you're good to go. Is this better than a slider? Yes and no. One of the benefits of this is it is 15 feet long. That's not super long, but it's long enough. If you think about a doorway dolly, a Chapman dolly, a Fisher dolly, you're going to get 8 feet of track per section. You're going to be 16 feet of track per 2 sections. You can kind of get there. You know, 15 feet of track is much better than, let's say, what is your alternative? What else could you purchase? And the other thing that I own, which is not here at my studio in China, but is back home in the United States, I own a Dana Dolly slider, which is pretty much the same, but I'm probably not going to put that slider on 15 feet of speed rail. You can do it, but more than likely it's going to bow in the middle unless you're using like very thick Schedule 80 speed rail. Then you could probably get by with 15 feet, 12 feet, something like that, but it's going to be super long. So let's actually compare some prices first off. Now this E-Image tripod dolly with 15 feet of track is going to be $650. Not a terrible price. Now you do have to have a tripod. And you do have to have a tripod head in order to do this. The better the tripod head, the better the movement's going to be, of course. Same thing with the Dana Dolly. You're going to have a tripod head, but you don't have to have the tripod legs, right? So a fluid head that attaches right onto the Dana Dolly is perfect. But with the Dana Dolly being about $700 plus, depending on which package you can get the universal package, you can get the 100 millimeter and 150 millimeter bowl attachments. That's going to cost you a little bit more. The universal system where you can use 1.25" or 1.5" speed rail, that's going to cost you a little bit more. I have the basic kit, which I bought oh so long ago, and I didn't pay nowhere near as much as what they're going for today. I think I paid around $650, but today you're going to probably pay around $700. Again, that's no speed rail, that's no low boy combo stands, and that's also no baby 3 risers, which I would never use in that situation. Low boy combos are going to have a better footprint than baby 3 risers are going to have a footprint on that. So the low boys are the way to go. A good Matthews low boy is going to cost you $250 each for each end of the track. Cupo, I don't know. American combo stands are going to cost you probably more than that. Maybe, I haven't checked the numbers recently, but maybe about $300. So when you add on low boy combo stands, speed rail I believe is about $6 a foot. So you get 10 feet, two sides, 10 feet, that's $60 just for 10 feet, where this is 15 feet. So really, you're gonna save money getting a tripod dolly than you are a Dana dolly. A Dana dolly is only going to come with the Dana dolly platform skateboard wheels, the 75 millimeter bowl, the 100 millimeter, the 150 millimeter bowl adapters, and then the two connectors at the end that will go on your low boy stands and accept either 1.25" or 1.5" speed rail. And then there's the extra expense on top of that. So if that's like blowing your brain, you're probably going to end up paying $1,500 for a Dana dolly versus $650 for a complete package. More than likely, if you are a video production business, you're going to have a tripod that will work with this. You will have a tripod head, hopefully a fluid head, that will work with this system. So you'll save a lot more money. Now, you're going to ask me, do I prefer the Dana dolly compared to this? And I do and I don't. This is much harder to manipulate. You know, you have the movement of pushing the tripod and the dolly and everything, and then panning and tilting on the head, where I find like a slider, a Dana dolly, a skateboard dolly, is much easier to manipulate than this is. Also walking, you can walk right beside it and push, where this you have to be very careful about tripping over things like this and the end rails, and you gotta kind of walk off to the side of it, and it's really much different than operating a skateboard dolly or a slider or anything like that. Now, the advantage of this, again, is the 15 feet that you will get out of this. The inexpensive wedges, wooden wedges that you can buy to help level this off if you're outside versus a studio setting, although I probably recommend this mostly for a studio setting. And the length is a big thing, because normal sliders are going to be like this big or this big or this big, and that's about all you're going to get. You're going to get 4 foot of a slide on some kind of remote controlled slider, which is good for product stuff. But if you're really like doing short films and you're really into filmmaking and creating a big narrative, that slide movement is not going to really get you there. You're going to want to follow somebody all the way into the room, and then as they sit down, end at that one point. That's really what a dolly move is all about. So this is going to save you money on renting a doorway dolly or a Fisher dolly or a Chapman dolly plus track, especially if you're looking to purchase versus renting. This is just definitely going to get you kind of the same movement without having to purchase that stuff. Now, what you don't get, this is very similar to more of a doorway dolly. We'll talk about that, because doorway dollies, they go. That's all they do. They move forward and back. That's all they do. Something like a Fisher or a Chapman or a Panther crane or a Panther dolly, stuff like that is actually going to give you boom. That's going to be the big difference. you'll be able to boom up and down and keep that same plane field of view versus like you come in and you move and you tilt down. It's very different than coming in and booming down versus coming in and tilting down. Okay? But this will get you by. I did shoot a few things on this. I tried a vertigo shot and just some basic movement. So we'll check that out. Vertigo is, you know, you're expanding or you're crushing the background image. It's going to require you to have some kind of zoom lens, and preferably a zoom lens that is not a variable at f-stop, where you're switching from a 2.8 to a 5.6 on the zoom. So at your widest point, you're at 2.8, and then you're losing 2 to 3 stops of light as you zoom in. That's not really what you want in a vertigo. But since most of my lenses that are a constant f-stop are very telephoto, they're 70 to 200. I wasn't able to do that. Another thing is you're going to want a focus puller, or you're going to want to have a parfocal lens. That's a lens that you zoom in, you get the focus, and then you can zoom back out and it's still going to maintain its focus. Most lenses are not going to do that. That's more of a camcorder video setting, or certain lenses that you can buy are parfocal. So I do have a parfocal Leica lens that's a micro 4/3. So I'm going to use that on my Blackmagic Micro Cinema Camera, because that's a micro 4/3 camera. And we're going to try out that and talk about that as we're going on. And we'll take a look at the vertigo shot. Very famous shot, mostly made famous by Alfred Hitchcock in his movie Vertigo. I think that's the shot that every time I talk to people, they always want to do the vertigo. I don't understand. It's a cool shot, but it's usually used in thrillers and scary films and things like that, and it's not my go-to shot. I like camera movements and stuff like that more than I like these little fancy gimmicky shots. If it works, it works, but don't make it work for a shot that does not work. And then we'll look at some just basic moves side to side, forward and back, zooming. We're not zooming in and out. We're on prime lenses, and we are pulling back on a subject and doing those kind of things. So after we look at those shots now, let's just kind of set it up. I've got a very cheap tripod here because my good Manfrotto is over there working. One of the downsides to purchasing used equipment is sometimes it is missing pieces. So if I was looking at every single piece of equipment out there, I would probably not purchase this, even though I can just easily buy the missing pieces. But what was missing out of this kit is the little feet. If you have spiked tripod feet, it does come with an adapter that you can use on your spiked tripod feet that you can put into this. Works great. But since that piece was missing, and now I gotta contact the company and get those 3 pieces, and I'll let you know how well that goes. I'm gonna have to use this other tripod that isn't quite as nice because of the fluid head. Real simple to put together. I'll try to do this without popping my microphone. And much easier if you have a tripod that isn't, and camera system that isn't so heavy, like so. So these little pieces here, they slide in and out on the dolly here to help you fit your tripod a little bit better. Some tripods as you go up on the legs here, they're going to spread the tripod a little bit more. So that's what kind of gives you the option here if I want to go ahead and lock these in. Very simple design, nothing to it. Just lock it in, tighten it down. Especially if you have feet. You know, what would probably be much better, I know they have an updated curb track to this, but would be much better is just to pop it in there and lock it. So if you do have like tripods, we're not having the greatest time here. See that? Okay, so since I went shorter, had to spread all this in. And to be honest with you, it's probably better not to do this on the track. You can also very easily scratch your track. And if you scratch your track, you're gonna have bumps in it. And since this is used, and it's already been scratched, there's nothing I can do about it. I just gotta live with it. So here we are, we've got our legs locked in. Most everything looks to be locked in. We've got our spread pretty decent. There, and there we are. Now we've got our perfect dolly move. I wouldn't say perfect dolly move. In the professional world, I wouldn't do this, but for a cheap little product shot, or I just want that one move, and since this came in a package deal used, I will use it. I'll get some fun benefit out of it. It's really not going to be my go-to for clients. I wouldn't want to show up like this, but if somebody's got a short film that they want me to shoot, I might be like, oh, we can get some cool movements with this little guy without having to spend a whole lot of money on some short video. I mean, short films, they're not going to make money. They're going to just show how impressive you are as a cameraman or director or writer or actor or something like that. Most of the time, you can't really expect them to make money. As another little thing I do kind of like to do, like sandbags. Sandbags are the greatest thing on the planet. I just want to kind of touch on that. It helps add weight, it helps secure all your gear, and it also makes a fantastic seat. And it also makes a great camera stabilizer if you want to get a low shot and you can't get down there with your tripod or anything like that. You just throw your camera on top of that there, and then you've got a nice little camera support there. Versus something like a cine saddle that's going to cost you a lot of money for something you're just going to throw on the ground. It's kind of dumb. So I do like to add a little extra weight. You can figure this out any way you want. Ratchet straps, things like that. It's kind of going to give you some weight. And that'll help you with your movement. Any more weight to it, it'll keep the track weighed down so there's not any flex in the track. And there you go. Now you got a perfect dolly move for $650. That's about all I can say about that. I just wanted to show to you another piece of used gear that I picked up. And anytime you can pick up something like this cheap that's gonna help you in your film production business, I'd say do it. You know, if you can get this for half price, if you can get this for a couple $100, do it. It's something nice to have, even though I have a Dana Dolly and everything I've already invested in before, which one day I will have here and we'll go through that. But for a couple $100, since it was, like I said, within this package deal, if I didn't want it, I could always turn around and sell it for $300. That's what I would ask for it. You know, half price, $325, $400. It's pretty good shape. I can make a little bit of money back on it. But yeah, I might just keep it for a while for those little things where people don't have any money. Again, like running a little bit of money versus a lot of bit of money. If somebody's like, oh, I want to do a video and I want to do this and that, I'm like, well, you know, we can rent a doorway dolly, or we can rent a big dog dolly like a Fisher or a Chapman, or I can send this out for like $30 a day, $60 a day, and just rent it and add that production cost onto my budget. So there you go. That's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe. Hit that like. And we'll see you in the next video.